This is Aaron Golub, host of the Blind Ambition podcast. We'll be bringing you world-class leaders, entrepreneurs, and athletes, people who have overcome obstacles and used their ambition to create enormous success in their lives. If you enjoy this podcast, if you get anything out of it, the only thing I'll ever ask is that you subscribe, rate, and review. Hope you enjoy. Hi, everyone. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Aaron Golub, as you know, your host, and today I'm here with Chris Rubio. Rubio, thanks so much for being here.
Not a problem, man. Anytime for you.
And for those of you that don't know Rubio is best long snapping instructor in the country. He coached me and helped turn me into a Division I athlete. So he has a lot of knowledge and experience in that area and has worked with really the best guys out there.
Thanks, Golub. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's always a fun little adventure with each and every long snapper.
Yeah, so what got you into long snapping in the business that you're in? Because everyone's story is different when it goes to that position because it's so unique. So why long snapping and why start a company out of it?
You know, long snapping, I didn't even know about long snapping. Now, I'm not even saying tried it. I'm saying know of it until I was a sophomore in high school. I grew up, I was too large I'll try to give you a condensed version, too large to play tackle with my own age group in California. So they did everything by weight. So in third grade, I told my mom I'd like to go play tackle football. She said, no problem, let's go. I go to weigh in. They said, yeah, you can play. Yay, fantastic. They said, but due to your weight, even though you're in third grade, you're going to play with eighth graders. And I was, well, hell no, I'm not. And so my mom said, well, let's just continue to play flag football. And I was the biggest and strongest kid. I could throw the ball the farthest, probably like 15 yards. And so I was the quarterback. And so I loved that. Eighth grade year, finally getting into freshman football. And what position would you like to play, Rubio? And I said, I'm going to be a quarterback. And I was like, 5'10 and a half, 5'11", probably 240, 250. And I remember the coach looked at me and goes, you'll never touch a football again the rest of your life. Ironically, I touch one every single day now. And so he made me a lineman. And the coach that I had was a yeller. I mean, this guy continuously yelled. And I'm not that kind of guy. I'll raise my voice every once in a while. But if you can't just tell me what I need to do without yelling, I'm tuning you out. So it's one of those, my freshman year, I didn't long snap at all. Just still didn't know what it was. I was like 4-string center, didn't know what I was doing. I absolutely hated it. My sophomore year, I didn't even play football. Then I was just messing around with one of my buddies in his front yard playing catch. And I remember he got down and he snapped the ball. And I remember specifically saying, what the hell was that? And he says, it's a long snap. I go, do it again. And so he does it again. And I go, I can do that. And so I got down with one hand because I was a quarterback, and I just threw the ball as hard as I could. And I remember my buddy John goes, holy crap, you're phenomenal. And I said, oh, cool. Didn't even think about it again. I did it again. He's like, you're really awesome. And okay, cool. Didn't even think about it again. My junior year, I went out for football. It grew into my body. And my uncle, who was the varsity head coach, did one of the practices where, okay, it was hot. It's 1,000 degrees in Los Angeles. Hands behind your back. Everyone's happy, especially the bigger kids that you're not running right now. And they said, who can long snap? Who can long snap? And I literally stood there because I forgot what it was called. And then my buddy, he hits me in the back and he goes, Rubio, you can do that. And then my uncle again says, who can long snap? Who could long snap? And I go, oh, I can do that. That's one thing I can do. I know I can do that. And so I get down there, snap the ball, and my uncle goes, holy crap, you're really good at it. Great. No one cares. Ended up doing pretty well my junior year. My senior year, I was large. I had good grades. Ended up getting recruited, went to UCLA, got put on full scholarship, snapped to Chris Saylor, who runs Chris Saylor Kicking. After college, I hurt my back my junior year, did not play football going into the NFL. Decided I'm done with that. I'd like to be able to pick up my kids at one point in life. Went to teach middle school. I'm wrapping this story up, I promise. Went to teach middle school, social studies, loved it. And I get a call from Saylor, and he says, hey, man, I need a long snapping instructor. Can you kind of come help me just babysit some kids in Vegas? I said, I don't know. We go back and forth for a little bit. And he says, I'll pay for your trip and food. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going. Let's go. And from there, it just kind of blossomed. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's the long story short.
That's awesome. And the camps have really developed over the years. Even from when I started, 10 years ago at this point, they've really changed and developed over the years.
Yeah, I would say the camps have developed where we went from like 10 long snappers to a camp to, it could be up to 90 at regional camps to over 300 at the Vegas camps and the long snappers have evolved as well. Someone like myself who, back in high school, 6'3", 293 pounds, I would not be looked at as the same type of long snapper now due to the fact that long snappers don't have to snap and block as much. Now they have to snap and release. You have to be a little bit more athletic more than I was back in the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's really crucial. I'm sure it just has to be so rewarding for you because you meet some of these guys 13, 14, 15 years old. I mean, I think I met you when I was 15 and you watch them grow up through high school and develop and change as a human being. And can you touch on that a little bit?
It's beyond rewarding. It's beyond bizarre because so many of the kids all get it, say 12, 13, 14, right around there. And many of them, puberty hasn't really sprinkled onto them yet. They haven't really matured. And they don't know what they're doing. Then all of a sudden you get them in the right form, the right mentality, puberty hits, and then all of a sudden it becomes a different human being. And I can't even tell you how many photos I have of kids where their head is here when they start, and then all of a sudden, by the time they graduate high school or college, they're above me. It's like either I'm getting shorter or these kids are getting just bigger and bigger and bigger.
And so I'm a little curious because I've heard, I've never directly asked you this, but I have an idea of what you're going to say. How was I at the first camp I went to with you, and how was I able to make it to Division I football? Because I have my opinion of my first camp, but I want to hear your opinion.
I was literally just talking about this story to a kid I had in a lesson with me right now. And it was very interesting because I remember I received an email or a phone call from your father just asking, number one, is it okay that you go to the camp? And he kind of didn't really specify about your visual issues. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I remember him saying, I'm going to need to be on the field. And I was like, yeah, no big deal. All the parents, I always have them on the field with me anyway. And then I remember him saying, I need to be right next to him so I can catch the ball. And then right then he's kind of stuck of like, okay, this is going to be a super overbearing parent. I'm going to have to tell him to like kind of spread out a little bit. And then I think the next sentence was, he's got some visual issues. And I said, okay, that's no big deal. And so you were one that was very interesting because you could tell anything that I said to you, you were just like studying. Yeah. And I don't know if it was the visual thing or you just were really into it, but it was definitely something that you could tell anything that I spit at you, you chewed up and you swallowed it. Or some kids that talk and it goes right off them. It was like a super absorbent, bounty paper towel. Okay. It was right in there all the way home. And I mean, you were raw, you were gangly. I remember that.
Let's be realistic. I was terrible.
You were raw. I don't like to use the word terrible. I like to use the word raw. But you needed some work. But it's one of those things where long snapping, it doesn't take, and I'm not putting down long snappers. It's not a lot of hard work. It's just doing the work the correct way. Yeah. It's just working the form over and over and over. It's like I always say, I'm teaching you basically to be a free throw shooter. That's it. I don't need you to dunk. I don't need you to do 3-pointers. I don't need you to pass the ball between your legs. None of that crap. Just shoot a free throw. That's it. And so as long as we get the snapping motion over and over and over, and you obviously were a very hardworking kid that worked right, that's the way it worked out.
And then I guess let's put it this way. Let's word this a little differently now. Given my being legally blind, were you surprised when I ended up making a Division I school?
No, because you had good size. You grew into your body a little bit. You could obviously snap the ball. And long snapper is one of those specific positions that you honestly don't need a lot of vision. I mean, especially if you're not, even if you did have to snap and block, because you're blocking a gap. You're usually not blocking a human being. You're not going to say, I'm blocking number 2, I'm blocking number 2, because if number 2 takes off, you're not going with them. Yeah. And it brought me back. I remember thinking to myself, okay, I can teach this kid to do this, because when I was at UCLA, one of the things that I used to test myself on, how on the PAT block or punt return team or punt block team, sometimes the coaches, instead of 11 guys, they throw out 12, 13, 14, just to piss you off. And it's like, oh, you can block this, you can do this. And I remember doing because I'd have to snap and block left or right. As soon as my senior year got around and I was really doing well, even junior yearish, I remember getting down, snapping, and I would do the entire process with my eyes closed. And I remember snapping, blocking left or blocking right with my eyes closed, because I would always think to myself, Rubio, if you can do this with your eyes closed, eyes open is going to be a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And, I'm sure that, you don't need to give specific instances, but I'm sure there's so many of those kids that you've seen throughout the years that, I'll use your term, were really raw when they started and grew into themselves and became these phenomenal snappers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every year there's at least probably 5 kids that I always say that they're right on the cusp, and it's one of those things that with long snapping, yes, you want to work on the form, but I'm telling you right now, more important than the form is here.
Yeah.
Because I can have a kid that has great form, but if he's mentally weak or if he has no confidence in himself, they'll never do it.
Yeah.
But if I get a kid that can just believe in themselves just a little bit more, and I think that's where 95% of my teaching comes from, where I just got to get the kid to relax.
Yeah.
I got to get the kid to believe in himself.
And it's that mentality of, a lot of the stuff that I've been developing over the last 6 months is working with people on that. And just when you can have that right mindset and establish that confidence that you always talk about, that's when you can become successful at the position.
At the position or anything. But yeah, absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah. So here's an interesting one. What do you do that, gets Tulane to have these just phenomenal long snappers and people? I mean, I got to say, me, Garen, Hudak there now, like, come on.
Well, the way I always explain it is that once a coach gets one of my quote unquote good guys, they always keep coming back. All right. They always keep coming back because they know I'm giving them quote unquote a good product. If I'm going to you in Boston right now?
Yep.
Okay. So if I'm going to Boston, I'm going to call you and I'm saying, Golub, I want the best pizza place. All right. What's the best pizza place out there that you think?
Probably Regina's.
Okay. Regina's. Okay. Zach Hershon just told me the exact same thing. And there was another one with an S, he said. Okay. Oh, wow. So yeah. Regina's. So if I go to Regina's and I have a great meal, next time I'm anywhere that I know you are, I'm going to call you and say, oh, look, where do I go now? But if I go and I have a terrible meal, I get food poisoning, I'm having issues coming out of everywhere, I'm never going to call you again. And so that's what the coach, just for me, I basically say, I don't give them diarrhea, right? I give them a good product.
That's great. That's I think that's so true.
Well, thank you.
Because I think one thing that's really interesting is the Vegas camp specifically. How have you had those develop over the years? Because I know when you started, it was a really small camp and it was held, I think, at like UNLV. And then Correct. By the time I got there, it was growing, but it wasn't like the production it is today. And then, I saw you in January when I was there helping out, and like the difference between then and when I was a senior in high school is ridiculous. So how has it grown, and why has it grown in the direction that it's grown?
Well, it's grown because it's a good, solid product that keeps evolving. Okay. It's one of those where I bring out the best of the best instructors. I make sure it's very, very regimented. You've been on the student side as well as the instructor side. Everything is literally down to the minute. And the moving parts, there's a billion moving parts. So it's got to keep evolving and moving the right way, but it's also got to evolve to what the coaches want. Yeah. So, 7, 8, 9 years ago, I would work, probably half the camp on blocking. Now I don't focus on blocking because like only 3 out of 800 schools block. So it's not as big of an issue to me focus on blocking. And it's one of those things that coaches want to see more athleticism. So now I have like an agility course. And it keeps getting bigger and better and evolving because I keep letting it evolve. Number one, I don't stay stuck in the way I'm doing it. And it's a product that is honest. Yeah. Okay. That's one of the main things that I've had in my business over time is that if I say you're a 5-star, you're a 5-star. If I say you're a 4.5 star, you're a 4.5 star. If you're a 4-star. And when I tell a school, okay, yeah, this kid is the one you want. All right. If they ask me about a certain kid and I tell them, it's my reputation. My name's on the shirt, as I always say. It's my business. I am the business. So I have to make sure everything is honest and to the point, and it's done the right way. There's so many people that try to do things the halfway way, we'll say, and it just doesn't work out. Eventually, if you're running a smoke and mirror business, the smoke will clear and people will see the mirrors. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's actually a perfect segue into this, but I saw that you've recently came out with a new kind of star rating system. Mm-hmm. Can you go into that a little and why you changed it? Yeah. We've always had, 5-star, 4.5, 4, 3.5, 3, so on and so forth. And 5 stars basically mean you could snap tonight in college. There's no doubt about it. Very few people get them. I only give out probably between 10 and 20 per year. Some years there's more, some years there's less. Just depends on the level of talent of kids. So if I give you a 5-star, it means you could play tonight. Sale and I started discussing it, and it was, we need to do something different because 5 stars are great, but we want to make sure that it holds a lot of weight. So we need to see what can hold even more weight. So what we did was we added a 6-star long snapper, not a 5.5. There's none of that, just a 6-star. And these are the freaks of the freaks. These are the kids who not only could they start in college tonight, I'm saying first year they should probably get all conference. There's just something different about them, where they're the perfect mentality, perfect speed, perfect athleticism, perfect size, perfect spiral, perfect accuracy, perfect consistency, all those things, where sometimes you can have a 5-star where they can be absolutely phenomenal at everything, but maybe they're just not super athletic. They're athletic, but they're not like, oh my God, he's a Greek god. Look at that guy run. Where these 6 stars, that's them. They're great size, they're great athletic ability. I could try to get in their head and I can't. You know, they can move on their feet well, they can snap, they can block, they have a spiral, they have consistency, they have accuracy. They're just the freaks in a good way.
No, that's awesome. And I think that's a unique system that will help those guys really stand out to the schools that are looking for them. And that's
absolutely
an interesting concept.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you know, let's go with this. What's your least favorite part of the country that you have to travel to for camp? I think I have a great idea, and I want to know the reason behind this.
You know, I love all parts of the country. I love everyone equally. Now, you know my answer is going to be, because we already discussed it. I feel like it's possible that I might be allergic to humidity. So the southeast region and I do not get along very well. I love the people. I love the food. The weather, I just don't understand it. I mean, anytime I'm at a Southern camp, I'll have like a 3-hour conversation with the families and just like, how do you guys do it? Because I came from Southern California, no humidity. Now I live in Northern Idaho, no humidity. And I go down there and I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember the first time I actually was in North Carolina. This was many moons ago. Sailor and I were at a grass field. I don't remember where it was. He'll remember. But it was a sunken in field. And around it was completely surrounded by trees. And it was the first time I'd ever experienced humidity. And all of a sudden, I'm getting hot. And then I start drinking water, obviously. And all of a sudden, my head starts pouring sweat because I've got no hair. And it couldn't soak up anything. And I couldn't stop sweating. And so I start drinking more water. And if you've ever been in any place that's humidity, as soon as you start drinking, it just pours out. And Sailor looks at me and goes, what the hell's the matter with you, man? I go, I don't know. What's happening? I can't breathe. I feel like I'm breathing in scuba gear. It's so hot. And all the parents were looking at me like, are you all right? I go, I don't know. What's happening? Why is the air so thick? And so the humidity in the South is what gets me always. Yeah. Always.
I got to say, I mean, we were talking about this before, but I love Louisiana. I love New Orleans, but I do not miss July and August in training camp when I was there. That was miserable.
I don't know how you do it. But, coming from California, I think I'm just a weather kind of sissy. Because, like, even when we go to, like, we did one camp outside in Chicago probably 8 or 9 years ago, and it was, 35, 40 degrees or something like that. I mean, I remember sitting in the minivan we rented, and it was 11 degrees while we're sitting up, and I was, oh, my gosh. And all the Chicago and Michigan kids were there, and Ohio kids, and they were literally in shorts and, like, a T-shirt or a sweatshirt. I think Subnewski was there. And I had, this is no joke, 2 pairs of thermals. I had electric socks that, like, they have, like, a 9-volt battery on them. I had one of those, big, like, fur, I think they're like Russian hats or something like that. You've seen them where people make fun of them. Yeah. And everyone was making fun of me. And I said, you can make fun of me, call me a sissy all you want. You're not going to call me cold. I mean, I look like, the kid from Christmas Story. I could barely put my arms down. But I said, I can't do this. I'm freezing.
That is miserable. Nice. Well, I guess kind of one of the last points here. What would you say your favorite food is?
Pizza. No doubt about it, my man. Pizza, extra cheese, extra sauce, pepperoni, sausage, jalapenos.
Interesting choice. I like that.
Oh, yeah. With side of ranch for dipping, if the ranch is good, and possible side of sauce as well.
Interesting. I've never dipped my pizza in ranch. I don't know how I feel about that, but
do you like ranch?
I do like ranch a lot.
Done deal. Got to do it.
All right. I guess I'll try it next to my pizza. Now, so where can people find you on social media, your website, all of that?
Yeah, social media. I'm on every single thing: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, even Parler, Facebook, all that good stuff. It's just the Chris Rubio on Twitter. Everything else is Rubio Long Snapping. I'm very active on social media, all over every single thing. Awesome. So, and the website is rubiolongsnapping.com.
Well, everyone go check out Rubio. And Rubio, thanks so much for being here.
Anytime, Golub. Anytime, man.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it at all, if you got one thing out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you.